Hey there, guys. Welcome back to another shitting on new Capcom and Knives Out players and people who do stupid runs in general. Only this time you'll notice that I am recording on Share Factory, and there's a reason for this because I am joined by my friend.
It's me. I'm the one who does Assassin's Creed and Xenoblade.
Yeah, and I figured he was an important reference, because I talk a lot about stupid runs and the like, and like he of all people should really understand the whole idea of a stupid run and why playing at the bare minimum does not lead to skillful play at all. I mean, Xenoblade, he talks a lot about Xenoblade, and I know that
It's a good
Xenoblade.
game.
Yeah, it's a great game. I've never played it, but I know it's a highly skilled game, and he of all people should understand what happens when you play a game at such a base level, like so far below the baseline that just looks really stupid. And we did a lot of prep work for this video. Like I told him to look up a lot of videos from certain channels. I told him to like look at comments I just shared with them. And by the way, you'll notice right here, I'm just using the LZ answerer. I'm just displaying some of the basic traits with it. But the LZ answerer is a pretty shit weapon. Like it has three functionalities. It has the red lightsaber, which does a lot more damage. The blue lightsaber does nothing special, and then the green lightsaber does very little damage, but it heals you. And this weapon is so cumbersome to handle because the main problem with it is when it makes contact with an enemy, the animation plays out very slowly, and it leads to a lot of moments where the input delay really becomes a problem, a very, very big problem.
You would think a lightsaber would be the best weapon in the game.
Yeah, and like this is the first thing we need to talk about. Like, we talked about this before, but like, why on earth would there be people trying to do like karambit only rather than just like doing the LZ answer only? Like, the karambit's the second best weapon in the sense that it does like the second best damage, but like, people have to do that bare minimum restriction, right? And like, there's so many people that do karambit only on Village of Shadows difficulty, and they call it impressive. Yeah, have you seen some of the strategies I'm going to be doing, or have you seen some of those videos they've been showing? It is not impressive, and it's not skillfully like related whatsoever. Just give your thoughts on that, Pikal,
You're
please.
just restricting yourself for no reason. Like, if you're trying to do a challenge, why would you not use the best items in the game?
I mean, it's not in that sense, but like they're saying that if you're doing the bare minimum, it leads to skillful play. It makes the gameplay look good. That's their reasoning for it, Pikal.
No. Like, if I was trying to play Xenoblade, I wouldn't use I wouldn't use like Finch or like Electra because they're the worst blades in the game. I would use like fucking Telos or Cosmos or some shit. Like,
Yeah,
why would I use the worst of blades just to like say, oh, this game is good? If I'm trying to show a game is good, I would try to be the most skillful as possible.
yeah, but unfortunately, skill is just something that is so easily like misunderstood by a lot of idiots. Like, define skill for me, Pikal.
Like, I feel like skill is like how you approach like a game and like the stress that you do like show off like your knowledge of the game and like how the enemies work and like what you're supposed to meant to be supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and like the problem is that people think that like doing skillful play in the game means you have to like grind your teeth against the game. You have to play the game like as if it's 1% finished. And it's just these developers, these ignorant developers who made Resident Evil Village decided to glamorize a challenge that just makes Resident Evil Village look like a freaking joke. It looks like it's 1% finished. They want you to just mindlessly slog through an entire section of a game just doing this very mindless strategy. And there are people that call those very smart tactics, and we need to talk about one of these people that decided to leave such a retarded comment that I just decided to block them entirely. And admittedly, I was really going to block this guy originally and just not deal with him whatsoever, but he was proving to be like slightly neutral when he was commenting, so I didn't do anything about it. But then he decided to be an asshole when he was commenting on the first part of this entire series. But right here, you're seeing the LZ answer in motion. And like I've also shown the push mechanic. So the push mechanic I'm doing where I'm pushing the enemy away and they're dropping their weapon in the process with these enemies? Well, the push only works with a gun. You have to have a gun out in order to have the option to
What?
push.
How does that make any sense?
And in fact, I think I even demonstrate right here. Watch this. Watch this. So like I'm gonna mash L1 after I block this attack, and nothing happens. Look, nothing's happening because I have a melee weapon out, and I don't have my gun out. So I can't do the push mechanic. So watch, it's gonna magically work because I have my weapon out. Does that make sense, Pikal? Look at this.
That, that's not even like that's not like humanly smart. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you don't know what you're trying
You
to say because it
you
makes no
have
sense.
you have two arms. If you're holding something in one arm, you should still be able to push with your other arm. That doesn't matter what you're holding in your other arm.
Yeah, it's funny because like Ethan literally does a push animation against Bella where he uses his left hand to actually push her away rather than like kicking them away.
Like, if I'm holding something in my right hand, I should still be able to push something with my left hand. I have two hands for a reason.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like, it's such a dumb implementation, and like I even made a video during the days of the demo for this game where I was showing how the push mechanic actually works, and I showcased that it only works with a gun out. And you will not believe the amount of comments I have gotten from people just thanking me for showing this because they were so confused as to how the push mechanic works. It's ridiculous, but this right here, I'm showing more of the LZ answer's capabilities, but it's just like I said, it's a very cumbersome weapon. Like, look how slow the animation is, and it doesn't even like fix the whole issue where you have to press the block button after the second slash with your melee weapon in order to bypass the stupid recovery frames. Like, why is it that Resident Evil 7 allows you to just press R2 to get all your hits out with the melee, yet on this game, you have to press the block button after you do the second hit with your melee in order to cancel the fake recovery frames in order to give the illusion that you're just knifing constantly and just pressing the button normally like a normal person. But no, like, people want to say that's skillful. Oh, you're skillfully pressing the block button after you do the second melee attack. And that it's not skillful at all, and it still doesn't change the whole input delay problems. Like, the
Oh
input
wow,
delay
you're so
problems.
skilled by pressing one button. What a fucking gamer.
Yeah, it's impractical. It's like you're favoring such a convoluted explanation rather than a simple explanation to get the same result. And you want to know the funny thing, Bacall? People have like there have been people on PC who have had to actually mod the game to make the knife or the melee weapons in general like work exactly the same in Resident Evil 7, where you can just mash R2 to get your melee hits out rather than having to press the block button and just
Imagine
suffer through
making your
input
game
delay.
so imagine making your game so badly designed that people have to mod your game to make it better and fix it.
Yeah, it really goes to show how incompetent the developers were, and they want to say this game is designed for knives. And this right, you see that? That right there is a bug. It's a glitch in this game. For some reason, if you do the push mechanic, if you try to block the next attack that these Moriekas do after a push, you'll take damage. Even though that block, that block I was doing against the grab, if you block the grab, you're supposed to take no damage. But there are times where, for some reason, the Moriekas can damage you through your guard, even when they do the grab, which makes no sense. And you have to wait a couple of seconds after the push.
That would be like using an evasion art in Xenoblade, but then you still get hit anyway.
Yeah, it's just
That's
like that.
basically the same thing. Or like using a level 4 special to get iframes, but then you still get hit by the attack no matter what.
Or it's like in those in like Bayonetta, for instance, where you go into witch time or whatever it's called. Yeah, you go into witch time, and like you get a perfect dodge on an enemy, and everything goes into slow motion. And yet, like in Bayonetta, apparently the hitboxes on enemies is turned off, like so you don't get damaged by the enemy you just dodged. But in certain games like Nier Automata that have a very similar system, which is called overclock, you still take damage from the same enemy that you dodged during the slow motion, which is so bullshit. And I don't know if Xenoblade has any features like that. Does Xenoblade have any features like that?
Well, Xenoblade Combat is like a lot different than like most other games. Like I told you about this earlier when we were talking earlier. Like there's a super boss that has like zero break resistance,
Hmm.
so you can't do fusion combos. So like you can't like it's a lot harder to build up chain attacks and level 4 specials. So you must have to rely on like evasion arts. Doing like constantly spamming evasion arts isn't like I don't want to say it's like not fun because like it's not the only thing you're doing, but like it's the main thing that you're doing when you fight that super boss.
Yeah, I see. But yeah, that's the main thing. And by the way, we're coming across Bella. This is where you're gonna see all the shit really hit the fan. Because I'm not gonna be showing any perfect play like Tynard does, or like or all these other people. Like I don't even know like why they even try to showcase these kind of perfect runs where they just try to be so flawless as if the game is designed for this kind of restriction. But like you're gonna be seeing like all the moments where the game just fucks me over. Like does this encounter look befitting for Knives Out when you have this many enemies in a tight corridor and like you're just juggling their AI?
I don't know if I ever like told you this, but like this reminds me of like when I used to when Origins first came out, and I tried to do like a fist only run on Origins. Like I tried to not use any like melee or range weapons and just use my fist. and like I barely got through like any part of the game because fist combat in Origins is so weak and doesn't work, and like this game forces you to do side quests to level up because the game is so weird. I tried to do a quest where I had to kill animals, and it was like I had to kill like these crocodiles that were in the water, but I couldn't even kill them because the crocodiles like for some reason fist combat in the water just doesn't work and doesn't hit the enemies.
Yeah, and just tell me something. Do you feel like you learned anything when you did that run? Do you feel like you learned anything significant?
I just I just learned how bad fist combat is.
Yeah, and you learned absolutely nothing that would feel appropriate for like a normal run of Assassin's Creed Origins. Nothing you're doing in Resident Evil Village or Knives Out contributes to anything substantial for a kind of strategy, and yet there are these people that want to say that stuff like this, stuff that I'm going through with Bella right now, somehow allows you to learn the game better. I am able to like it's not the run that allows you to learn strategies. It's when you take the time, like just doing like a couple of minutes of just like trying to learn the boss, this and that. But it has nothing to do with the run.
Yeah, every time I was doing like playing that run and try to do it, all my fist attacks were doing like 15 damage per hit, and I just had to keep mashing the button to the point where like my fingers would hurt, and like that's so badly designed that like your fingers like physically start to hurt because you're just mashing the same button over and over again for like 20 minutes. If I played the game normally and was using like my most powerful weapons, I would be killing enemies instantly and doing like 6,000 damage just because the weapons are so much more powerful than your fists that do like 15 damage per hit.
Yeah, but just tell me something, Nicole. Do you feel like look at this, look at this. By the way, this is a bug. Like let me just go back there real quick. Watch this, watch this. This is a bug with Village of Shadows difficulty for Bella. If you skip this cutscene too early, this happens. Bella, for some unknown reason, just decides to stand there and do absolutely nothing. It's all because of the enemies right there. It's because they decided to put in those two Moriekas in this encounter. Because the game doesn't properly understand which enemy it wants to prioritize. I think it's prioritizing the Moriekas in this case because I skipped the cutscene too quickly, and it's causing her to just glitch out like this. It's causing her to be very, very like stupid. How could they miss something like this? Like you go to hardcore difficulty where there's no Moriekas in this encounter, and you are not getting any kind of problems with Bella just not attacking you in the beginning. Just explain. Like, do you think that's suitable for a fucking difficulty and for a challenge, Pikal?
See, if this was a like if this was like a speed run, that would probably be useful because then you could just attack her without her like retaliating. But like if you're trying to play this game like normally and that happens to you, like you're just basically screwed.
Yeah, and it's all because you skip this cutscene too quickly. So, like, the normal way you do the sequence is you wait until the moment where Ethan is pushed down by Bella to then skip the cutscene, and that stops her from actually glitching out. But no, the developers, for some fucking reason, just they don't bother going in and actually thinking things through because they don't comprehend their own designs to really consider the consequences of what happens when you put in two Moriekas in this sequence. And then people want to blame the pandemic of all things. Like they want to blame the pandemic for this kind of stuff, but no, this could easily be fixed if you just removed the freaking Moriekas from this encounter.
And like the pandemic would easily be over if people just get vaccinated and wear masks. Like, come on.
No, but like
Like I don't want to get too
that's not even like the
political.
point I'm talking about though. Like
Yeah.
the pandemic has nothing to do with basic thought. It doesn't stop you using your fucking brain.
Like
Like
I haven't had COVID, but like if I ever get it, I'm not just gonna become like 20% stupider.
I know, like how do they not see this problem? It makes no sense.
Like,
And then, like, you think that like when they put in the Knives Out challenge for Resident Evil Village, you have to assume it's been QA tested, right? They can't even QA test something as simple as this kind of problem with Village of Shadows difficulty. Look at this.
why even have QA testers at all if you're not even gonna like do your job?
And admittedly, like the thing is, like Carcinogen SDA explained this to me, or like one of his fans did. But like a lot of problems are reported by QA, but it's just a matter of actually like fixing them or not. Because fixing these kind of problems leads to new issues. But this is something that could easily be fixed by removing the freaking Moriekas.
And like it would be different if you had a smaller team, because like apparently like Xenoblade 2, they only had a team of like 40 to 60 people working on it because like Monolith like lost a lot of their people because they had to go help work on Zelda Breath of the Wild and like other stuff. So like Xenoblade 2 was only developed by a team of like 40 to 60 people.
Wow, that's
But like
crazy.
but like they still like fixed a lot of things that like and the game is still like pretty well designed even with like only 40 60 people working on it.
Probably because there's
And
less communication involved.
yeah, yeah, and it's also a launch title for the Switch.
Yeah,
Or
but
like
but
at least one of them.
Yeah, but look at this. By the way, look at this. Look at this. This is something I really need to talk about right here. This is probably what they're expecting you to do. Like there's a guy called Best Gamer Challenges, and this guy did a very like odd strat for Bella, and it's kind of similar to this, but he
You
was
even call it a strat.
he even called it a strat. Yeah, exactly.
It's
Like
not a strat. It's
this
just
guy,
cheese.
he encountered Bella with just the normal knife, like the normal basic knife that you get at the beginning of the game, and he was doing this kind of strat where he was just standing there, and he was just tanking all these hits. He just spamming killing items like crazy, and just knifing the Moriekas. And guess what? Her like Bella's AI just pauses for no reason, like because the game is prioritizing the Moriekas right here, is prioritizing their attack animations over her, so she's just standing there like crazy. And look, she's not attacking me right now. She's not attacking me in this interim. Like, she would attack me a lot earlier, but she's pausing because of the Moriekas. Look at this. Look how fucking stupid this is.
You're just like trapped against the wall, like spamming your knife over and over again. Like, how is this fun to do? And how is this interesting? This is not fun to watch, and this is not fun to play, and it's not skillful.
And people want to say it's a smart tactic, this and that. Like, this is where I really need to talk about Tynar, because like I've watched like a bit of Tynar's Resident Evil Village, low percent, Karambit knife only, no damage, Village of Shadows, no food. Like, why on earth is he trying to do no damage as if it's the most impressive thing ever for Knives Out in this game? Like, why is he trying to validate new Capcom's mentalities with this kind of stupid run like this? It's so stupid, and he's doing it with the Karambit. He's not doing it with the LZM. So, like, there's a reason why I'm using the Karambit here.
It's like, why would you even do no damage on a game where like it's so badly designed that you're pretty much guaranteed to get hit anyway?
Yeah,
Like, you're just restricting yourself and like forcing yourself to do a stupid challenge just for clout.
yeah, I know. And like, he left a really like denigrating comment to me in the first part of this series, and he even like put a little smiley face at the end of this massive comment because he was trying to be an asshole like that. You have the comment pulled up on your screen right now, do you, Pikal?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, let's go through this real quick.
Spite is fun for me.
Yeah, and like you want to know the funny thing? He on his about page he says, "Hello there, I'm playing games to their full potential." Full potential? Are you kidding me? This is the full potential of the game? Are you serious? Are you for real? Does this seem like the full potential of the game, Bikal?
You're not even like doing anything useful with your life. You're just mashing a button for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then getting caught in the corner like this, and then dealing with the kind of problems the Moriekas have. Like, this guy right there, the reason why I took damage is because of the horizontal strike that this Morieka did. That horizontal attack, it's aimed at chest leg, yet the hitbox rate is shit. The hitbox rate is fucking shit. It hits you even when you successfully dodge it. He hits thin air, and he still gets the hit out. How? Look at that.
Xenoblade combat is a lot more interesting than this because I have to like pay attention to like how my arcs recharge and how my specials recharge. I have to pay attention to like what pouch items I have. I have to pay attention to like what my allies are doing. I have to pay attention to what my like how much damage I'm doing with my blades. I have to pay attention to like whether I have a chain attack ready or like how many orbs I have set up for a full burst or like an elemental burst or like I have to know when to like evade an attack that I have to know is coming. I have to know when it's coming. I have to know when to do like certain things. Like there's so much things that go into Xenoblade combat, but this is just standing in the corner and mashing one button for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and like in the case that you described, Bikal, the realm of skill, that like the skill aspects you described fall into the realm of functionality. Like they all fall within the realm of a functional game. But this right here, you can't talk about skill in the realm of stupidity here. But Tynar disagrees with me on that. Like, let's actually read some portions of Tynar's comment right now. So like starting off with this, like. And like before I even go on to this comment, I even left like a little note to this comment, like, why don't you act like you actually have a grasp as to who I am before you go off with your mindless comments? Like, it's clear like Tynar didn't watch my Resident Evil 3 remake, like my most recent walkthrough a Resident Evil 3 remake, or my most recent walkthrough a Resident Evil 7 to really comprehend the sheer stupidity of this. But like this is what he first starts off with. He says, "All right, let's see if you're prepared to have a discussion." First of all, saying that people who complete knife-only challenges automatically glamorizing it is wrong. These people actually show raw gameplay, and viewers can see for themselves how dragged and or not fun the sequence is or can be. Do you really agree with that point, Bacall?
Like, you're not glamorizing anything. Like, how is this glamorizing to like stand in a corner and mash buttons for 20 minutes?
I mean, in this case, I'm not trying to glamorize it, but there are people like Best Gamer Challenges that try to say it's the most impressive thing ever. And there are people in the comment, like, we've seen the comments of Best Gamer Challenges, and like,
It's not even impressive, and it's not raw gameplay. That's just cheese for.
no, it is raw gameplay, but it's gameplay that just feels like an alien is playing this game or a freaking ape is playing this game. It's not even a normal human being playing this game at all. And like I
It's a
understand
game
like
that's made by monkeys.
and like I understand like the point he's saying with like like it's not right to assume this, but like I have the right to say that because I know these people. Like, I've seen the videos that they've been doing. I've seen the comments that people leave on those channels. I've seen that like those people reply to the audience members, and they're glamorizing this. They're glamorizing these kind of challenges. If you're gonna be saying that like this is for the viewer to decide, like you should then frame your video so that it actually implies this. But no, you're gonna be doing full runs of Resident Evil 4, for instance, or Resident Evil Village with knife only, and just really make like why are you doing it like that? Why are you doing a full run of the game, and then you want to say, oh, it's for the viewers to decide if it's fun or not? Then you would actually tailor your video differently. You would actually lengthen your video very differently to actually like satisfy that statement you're making of, oh, it's for the viewer to decide if it's fun or not. Like, that's just a very flawed comment. And then also he goes on to say, also, are you actually suggesting that speedrun is automatically more fun and better than any other run? When did I ever say in my first video that I like speedrunning? Did you hear that when you were watching my video, Pikal?
He's literally said nothing about speedruns.
Yeah, and all I'm
Like,
saying is like there's a reason why like pacing is a matter of great importance in a game. Like in movies, for instance, like in superhero movies, do you have any idea how boring a fight would be if the fight went on for 30 minutes or for an hour?
like, I had to talk to speedrunners about Xenoblade 2 to learn the mechanics of the game, but that's only because the game was like kind of rushed with the team of 40 to 60 people, and like the tutorials are bad and like lie to you and give you wrong information. So I had to talk to speedrunners and like learn from outside sources instead of the game itself. But that's a problem with the game and not because of like I wanted to like learn to speedrun a game, which I do, but like that's not because I hate the game and how badly designed it is.
Yeah, and like showing like very creative strategies that actually involve the full potential of the, and I have the right to say full potential on like Tynard. 'Cause, like this guy is so limited in his resources and the like because he wants to showcase a game that looks fucking stupid. How can you say like when I'm saying like, oh, like the strategies that I showcase for Bella or like the other bosses, for instance, just doing it normally with all the guns, like you think I'm doing that for speedrunning purposes? That's the baseline, like that's the baseline experience. Just because it might look like a speedrun doesn't mean it's automatically a speedrun. Why the fuck are you assuming that, dude?
That's like saying like just because someone is like jogging outside on like a rainy day, that then that means that they're running a marathon. That's like the same logic. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's really it makes literally no sense. And then he goes on to say, of course you're not. So speed is not everything, right? It's always the balance. Speed is not everything. Like that I understand, like, because I'm not a big proponent of speed runs for sure. But like when I'm talking about all these kind of things in my video, and I'm talking about the fact that the developers seem to want to favor just like these very like convoluted, just lengthy, just dragged out scenarios, and then people want to glamorize that kind of restriction so much. Like audience members that follow suit with actually like delivering that same message that new Capcom is trying to deliver with this Knives Out challenge, and they want to favor that and not actually respect the whole value of a properly paced game. Like that's retarded. That's really retarded. And then like let's continue this. So and if fight goes on enough to demonstrate all main skill. Oh, and if fight goes on enough to demonstrate all main skills. Just what do you think that what's your response to that, Pikal? Just let me hear that.
If you're skilled enough at a fight, it shouldn't have to go on for like an hour.
There's a fine line between skill and patience. Actually learning the moveset is very different to actually spending time doing a really pointless run of just like implementing these kind of strategies in an hour-long encounter. Like learning the boss is skillful. Doing the encounter with some very stupid restrictions is all about patience. That's all it is. And that's probably demonstrated with Moreau in this game because Moreau is literally just, oh, you bait out this one close range attack and just knife him mindlessly. That's all it is.
Most of the fights in Xenoblade you can get over and done with like in probably like less than 20 minutes if you know what you're doing.
And that's involving the full potential of the game, right?
Yeah, like if you're doing like good fusion combos and like if you're like breaking them and like toppling them at the right time and like doing like good elemental damage over time damage and like you actually know what you're doing with the game, then you can easily kill like a super boss in like less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, that actually sounds
You
pretty
can go
cool.
around the world and kill like 10
Hmm.
super bosses in like one day if you know what you're doing, which I literally did.
Yeah, and, I totally understand a lot of these kind of mentalities though, with people trying to like restrict themselves and like, but like, like we don't have to force yourself to go to a specific side area to get a specific like item in order to do a boss. Like, if you can actually like do this boss in a very creative way that actually looks like it's
Yeah.
properly paced without the
And like
need for any of these
Xenoblade
like
2
specific
combat,
skills. Yeah.
Xenoblade 2 combat like rewards experimentation. So like any strategy you can think of, you can do it and have enough success.
In Xenoblade 2, it doesn't force you to use specific items for
Yeah,
specific bosses, right?
like you can literally do anything you want, and if you know what you're doing and make it work, you can have good success and like do anything you need to.
And like the encounters don't drag on for a long time, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can like even like fighting unless it's like a story boss, like you can literally just run away from any enemy in the game.
Yeah,
Like you
but
don't even need to fight if you don't want to.
yeah, but let me, like you still have the comment pulled up on your screen, right? With
Yeah.
Tynard. Yeah. So let me just rephrase this again. And if fight goes on enough to demonstrate all main skills that enemy has, well, it's not bad. What? It's
Okay,
not
why are you
bad.
trying to showcase the skills of the enemy rather than the skills of yourself?
That's what he's trying to say right there. Like he's trying to say, oh, if the encounter's lengthy enough, then you can see all the main skills involved with understanding the AI, this and that. But like that just shows how unpolished the game is. That just shows how improperly designed the boss is. If you're going to be seeing like the numbers, like you start to see the numbers, you start to see the code that holds this boss together because it's so bare bones and barely like well designed. Like
Yeah,
how can you want to say
that's what I
it's not
feel
bad?
playing Odyssey. Like when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's literally just like I can understand how this game works within like 10 minutes of playing it because it's just so bare bones and badly designed and like none of this makes any sense and it's just like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and with Tynard's response to that, like with the way he phrased that comment, it almost implies that if you can understand the fight very, like if you understand the code nicely, that's somehow good. Like, what? And then he says like, one may even say that that particular boss is designed well. Designed well? Are you kidding me? For this kind of restriction? Are you for real? That's just I'm at a loss of words with this guy. But like continuing on, unfortunately, RE8 Village of Shadows has indeed made melee weapons too weak and fights are too dragged out. But ahem, and he said ahem as if to be very smug about it. So you're saying that everyone who does not actively shit on the game every second while doing that challenge doesn't have a what? You what are you? Why are you stretching my statement to just an unsustainable degree? So, and you're trying to gaslight other people into thinking that I'm just being a power trip guy. Like, what the fuck is that about, Tynard?
It's such a leap in logic.
Yeah, it is a very like leap in logic. And by the way, we have Daniela right here. This is a really stupid fight. Look at this. So this is probably what the developers are expecting you to do for this. But like, see that? Did you see what happened just then? So the AI on this game doesn't have the same kind of programming like in Resident Evil 7, where they don't like the AI on this game tries to attack you through geometry because they recognize your hitbox with geometry. So this is what's happening with Daniela. She's recognizing my hitbox through the bookshelf right over here, and it's giving me time to actually like knife her, this and that. And then I have to go back to the switch right over here. Like I'm only able to do this once because if Daniela sets up in a position where she's right near the switch, I will not be able to hit the switch. And if she gets all her flies back, the flies have some really shitty detection because they have a lot of phantom range on them, and it's bullshit. But watch. Look, she even damages the plate through the geometry.
You can literally see her break the plate.
Yeah, does this look like a well-designed fight? Does this look accommodating for Knives Out, Bicol?
This is literally like Odyssey, like enemies always knowing where you are constantly, even when they pretend that they don't.
Yeah, and like I have to resort to this very tedious strategy that Tynard says is a smart skill. Is this what you're implying that it should be the case, Tynard?
This is such a boring fight where you have to constantly go back to that switch. Like, why can't you just like stay and fight the boss the whole time? Why do you have to go back to this one location just to activate something?
Yeah, it's really stupid, and they want to say it's designed for Knives Out, this and that. And like we even had like I showed Pikal the challenges for Resident Evil Village when we went to Resident Evil Village and I showcased it, and he came up with a really great explanation, and it actually reminds me of the End of Zoe DLC from Resident Evil 7. But like there's no like in the challenges there's no like tier system for difficulties at all. There's no like challenges specific to normal difficulty. There's no challenges specific to Village of Shadows difficulty, and it's ironic because they perfected this in Resident Evil 7 with the End of Zoe DLC. Because in Resident Evil 7 and the End of Zoe DLC, there were speedrun challenges for each individual area in the End of Zoe DLC, and you had timers specific to normal difficulty and timers specific to Joe Must Die difficulty, and you got separate rewards based on the difficulties.
Yeah, like even Xenoblade 2 does something like that, where like there's a character you can talk to that like tells you your best times for like defeating unique monsters, and you can literally separate it by difficulty. So like you can defeat each unique monster on like different difficulties to like see how fast it takes you on each different difficulty. And like even in challenge mode, they have categories for different difficulties.
Yeah, that makes like if they actually categorize Knives Out to be done on amateur difficulty or like normal difficulty, that would make a lot of sense. But they don't. All they say is finish the game, like finish the story using nothing but close combat weapons. And they even specify two different scenarios where you can do melee only, and they don't specify difficulty whatsoever, like the End of Zoe DLC does. Like there's a trophy in the End of Zoe DLC for beating the End of Zoe DLC using only your fists on either normal or Joe Must Die difficulty. Now, why they opted for Joe Must Die difficulty as one of the difficulties, I don't know, because there's a lot of traps there in the Zoe DLC that you have to destroy using throwing knives, but because they specified normal difficulty, I didn't feel any kind of peer pressure to go on the highest difficulty at all. And I'm glad.
If a challenge allows you to do it on the easiest difficulty, there's like no reason to do it on a higher difficulty.
Oh, but Tyner will probably have some like epiphany and just come up with some kind of like weird explanation of his. Because that's just how it is. And like furthermore, like the challenge for Knives Out, I just explained in the previous video that the challenge for Knives Out is 70,000 CP. That's the highest amount of CP ever for a challenge. Now, Pikal hasn't played Resident Evil Village, but when you look at a challenges list and you see that challenge as being like the highest amount of points ever, what does that say to you, Pikal? What does that say?
That means it should be like the most difficult challenge there is, but like also the most rewarding. It's like high
Exactly.
risk, high reward.
Yeah, but it feels more accommodating for amateur difficulty, and you don't learn anything important that is crucial for Village of Shadows difficulty. You don't. And I imagine Tynard will say, "Oh, because I did the run, I was able to have the mentality necessary to understand the bosses." But just answer this, McCall: do you have to do a stupid run to actually take the time to understand the boss's moveset?
I haven't done any challenge runs on Xenoblade, and I know how the fucking game combat works.
Like,
I know how the bosses
did you
work.
actually take the time to understand the boss's movesets on a normal playthrough of that game?
Yeah, like I need to like look at like specific stats of stuff, but I like know like what attacks to avoid and like how to like I know like what their elemental weakness is and like I know when they enrage and I know what I should be doing to counter that.
Yeah, it's a really. Oh, and by the way, right here, this section is dumb. So these Samkas, most forgettable enemy type in the game. You only encounter them once right here. You never deal with them again unless you go to a side area. Oh, that right there was very close though. I don't know why that one Samka came very close to me. It's a really dumb section. Like, there's no incentive to fight these enemies because of how much life they have, and they don't respond to stuns very well on Village of Shadows difficulty. Which I need to talk about with you, Bacall. Do you think, like, like stun animations in a game, they represent like very fundamental systems, right? But do you think it's okay for a higher difficulty to remove stun animations?
Why would they do that?
Yeah, if you're going to be
That makes
removing,
no sense.
that makes no sense. It's like they don't value the animation department whatsoever with this game. And like, if you're going to be removing stun animations from the highest difficulty, why do you not just do the same with the other difficulties? Why are you trying to portray a false scenario right there? Why are you trying to show that you care about these animations when you actually don't?
That would be like if Xenoblade 2 made every single enemy immune to driver combos on Bringer of Chaos.
Yeah, and one of something else, Pikal, it's like Village of Shadows difficulty is a difficulty that you have to unlock by first beating the game. So what, did they remove those stun animations on Village of Shadows difficulty to surprise the player?
Bro, like, why? I mean, to be fair, technically Bringer of Chaos on Xenoblade 2 is DLC, but like, it's not even, like, that expensive, and like, Xenoblade 2 has a lot of other DLC that's like actually good and worth the price. So like, why not just buy it anyway?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It really like this really just I'm just flabbergasted with these kind of like design choices that new Capcom decided to favor with this game. And like just something prevents me from just fully hating Resident Evil Village, and I don't know what it is. But like there's stuff like not related to gameplay that I just like about Resident Evil. Have you ever had that experience with a game where like the game mechanically is bad, but there's something about the game that you just like that you can't bring yourself to fully hate the game, Bakal?
Not really. Because if I play a game and I don't like it, there's not really much of a reason for me to go back to it.
Okay, well, at least it's different with me in this case. But this right here, by the way, well, guys, you might be seeing some moments with Cassandra where I'm crouching right here. This is odd. I don't know why this is a thing with the karambit, but you'll remember in some of my previous videos of Resident Evil Village, I mentioned that if you shoot the daughters when they go to do the third hit in their combo and you're crouched, you'll avoid the hit. And I mentioned in my Soldat Eins video or Soldat 2 video that like if you're aiming certain weapons, and this is not including the knife, like the normal knife or the LZ Answer or the tac shotgun, you can actually bypass certain attacks. Yet for some unknown reason, with the karambit, I don't know what it is about Ethan's base animation or like with the way his model is actually interpreted by the game, but when you knife with the karambit to bypass the third in that combo, I don't know how, but he's able to bypass the hit. It makes no sense, because you should be able to do the same with the normal knife or the LZ Answer, but you can't. There's something about the melee animation with the karambit that allows Ethan to bypass the shitty hitbox on that third hit, and I don't know what it is. It's so odd. But you're seeing right there that I'm using the green lightsaber, and wow, I got hit by Phantom Range just then. Absolute trash.
Yeah.
And see that grab just then, Nicole?
Xenoblade-
Did you see that? Did you see that grab just then with that she tried to do? You cannot crouch under that grab. It looks like you should be able to crouch under that grab, but you can't. You have to either run away from that grab, or you have to run around her like this. And that grab has some serious range, dude. Do you think that's well designed for Knives Out, or for a game in general?
Fuck no.
So fucking stupid. But you were saying about Xenoblade?
Like I don't think Xenoblade like has like any phantom range or anything. Cause like as long as like an enemy like doesn't attack, it's always gonna like hit you no matter what. But like if it's gonna hit you, you can just like block it. Like as long as you have enough high enough block rate, or just use iframes from chain attacks or level 4 specials to evade it, or like an evasion art.
Yeah.
Like there's you don't have to worry about phantom range. You just have to worry about like if your like block rate or like is high enough, or like if you use iframes at the right time.
Ah, I see. All right, guys, we're back. So we were basically talking about Xenoblade and the like, but we need to like talk about Tynar's comment like some more, because he left easily like the longest and most like convoluted comment ever. But like continuing on with this comment, so he says, so you assume what we think about how we play. Not cool, my dude. Not cool. Like what? Dude, I've seen your videos. I've seen the comments that people left in your videos. I've seen people like Best Gamer challenges with his videos. I've seen the comments that people leave in his videos. You think I'm assuming? You think there's an assumption to be made right here? That I'm just judging it like at such a superficial level? Like the fact that you're even taking the time to even contemplate the whole idea of doing a bare bones restriction, and it somehow you feel that it somehow has any benefit in the future, and like you have to compromise the game in order to get some kind of satisfaction out of it, like a drug addict seeking a fix. Like a drug addict seeking a fix, they develop such a tolerance for the drug that they have to engage in self-destructive behaviors and just compromise their own life to just receive more of the effect of the drug. Like that's just what it sounds like to me, and just based on what I analyze, like just give me your thoughts on that, Bacall.
We don't have to assume how you play a game if we can literally see how you play the game, because you make your own videos.
Yeah, and then like
videos and see how you play the game. We don't need to assume.
like I don't understand why he's taking the time to do these kind of runs on like Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village, and then like there's a point I need to address in this comment that relates greatly to this, but let's continue on with this comment. And then like now about intended way or whatever, he's poking me, like he's jabbing at me for using the term intended way. Like he's like, it actually gets really tiresome that you repeat over and over the same wrong thing, as if developers designed the game to be completed with butter knife on Village of Shadows. When did I say butter knife, dude? They specifically say close combat weapons only in the challenge. Why are you favoring that Like that Extrema? Do you not understand how to properly contemplate proper English? What is that? Do you think that makes? Do you think he has any right to say that, dude? Like when I said
It's only a butter knife because of the way that the game is designed.
that's really stupid. That really doesn't make any sense. No, they didn't, and it shows. That challenge is for certain types of people who is curious if it's possible. Well, let me counter this really like fucked up comment. Do you see any moment in Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, 7, or even like in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, where they glamorize the whole idea of Knives Out with an official description that actually says beat the game Knives Out? No, they don't, because the developers actually contemplate their own designs properly. And you're acting like I'm not justified with actually saying that the developers intended for this to be a thing if they're going to be putting a literal description in the game that says beat the game Knives Out, then it's assumed that they QA tested the game to make it possible with that restriction. Is that a fair assumption to make, Bacall?
If they're gonna bother doing a description of like how you should be able to beat the challenge, they should make sure that the challenge actually works, and that like if it glitches out, then they should fix that.
Yeah, and speaking of glitches, there's a really notorious glitch in Lady Dimitrescu boss fight that I got in this recording, which I quite ironic that it happened to occur in the middle of a stupid run like this. But there's a bug where you see this move that she's doing right now, where she's doing the fly move and she's calling for flies. Well, if you hide in these towers, there are two towers here. There's one there and there's one right in front of me. Well, there's a bug that can occur where she can destroy these two towers, but after she destroys the two towers, she'll still call in bugs. And because you have no possible way to avoid the bugs, you'll die. So fucking bullshit. And this happened on this recording, and I've included it here. Like, do you think that's well designed, Bacall? How is that a thing?
No reason that should happen.
And they want to say the game's designed for Knives Out.
If they do an attack that destroys the towers that allow you to hide in them, there should be a flag set in the boss parameters or whatever that should stop them from doing that attack that requires you to hide in the towers.
Yeah, it's so dumb. I don't even know how this occurred. This is such a rare thing, but this is the first time this ever happened to me, and it makes no sense. And by the way, like, I should explain this. Like, do you really think this is befitting for Knives Out? But like right here, she destroys the tower right here, and she's gonna run away, and she's gonna call bugs, and I have no chance of avoiding it, and I have to restart. Fucking bullshit. But like, do you really think this fight is befitting for Knives Out if she's gonna be flying away, this and that, and I'm gonna be standing right behind her while she's doing her long range melee?
Why would you design a fucking challenge in a game about using melee weapons, but then have a boss that flies away to the point where you can't hit it with a melee weapon?
It really doesn't make any sense in that regard. Like,
What kind of backwards ass logic is that?
yeah, it makes no sense, and it's funny because they actually achieved this logic nicely with Resident Evil 1 Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake. Like, those games are objectively designed for knife only because of how simplistically designed they are. But ironically, I mean, like, actually with Resident Evil 1 Remake has a trophy where you have to beat the game using only the knife, but without using other ways of actually killing enemies. So they want you to only use the knife, and the game actually feels accommodating for that restriction, even if it's still a fucked up mess on real survival difficulty. But, like, on Resident Evil 2 Remake, they did not glamorize the whole idea of Knives Out whatsoever with a challenge or with a trophy. Yet the game objectively and fundamentally is designed for Knives Out, or knife only. And you've seen my videos. I've done so many videos of all the scenarios doing them knife only, and the games work as intended, and they actually feel befitting for S rank as well. I mean, with no saving, it's different, but of course, you don't factor no saves into that kind of restriction. Like, just because you can't do a game without saving doesn't mean it's automatically bad, this and that. I mean,
Like, most games these days have auto saves anyway.
yeah, but like when you have but Carl, do you feel like the context in which you have to explain this is different when a developer explicitly states in some kind of challenge beat the game without saving?
That's such an old-fashioned way of playing a game.
Yeah, I mean, I personally will never do that because I feel like you have to restart the whole entire game, and it's all because you got screwed by a really dumb restriction or some kind of dumb design. That's feeble, and it destroys your enjoyment of the game.
To restart the entire mission in Brotherhood and Revelations just because you failed a full sync.
Yeah, and so it's not like the full syncs are designed very well in certain missions. Yeah.
I literally made a whole series. We literally talked about this yesterday when we recorded AC1. I literally made a whole series about like badly designed full sync objectives in Assassin's Creed, and like so many of them were like Brotherhood of Revelations just because you can't like restart from a checkpoint and you have to restart the whole mission if you fail.
Yeah, that was a really dumb design choice on Ubisoft's part, but I'll let them off on that because those games are great. But let's continue on with Tynard's comment. So we last left off at uh, do you think like about the intended way or whatever? It actually gets really tiresome that you repeat over and over the same wrong thing. Like, how can you say it's wrong first of all after what I've just explained? As if developers designed the game to be complete with butter knife on Village of Shadows difficulty. No, they didn't, and it shows. And it shows. And it shows. Wow. And like, first of all, why is he even saying that butter knife only on Village of Shadows difficulty when I didn't say anything like that whatsoever in my first video? But continuing on with this, that challenge is for certain types of people who is curious if it's possible. Well, if it's only for certain types of people, don't state it in the official description of your game. Do you think that's fair, dude? If there's something that piques someone's curiosity, only a select few people, do you think the developers need to specify it in the official game?
If you're gonna make a challenge that like only certain people would do, you should like give a disclaimer in the description of the challenge and say like for advanced players only or something like
No,
that.
no, 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 not even for advanced players. Just don't put the fucking challenge in that overall, because then it shows they don't respect their own game. They want Resident Evil Village to be viewed as a joke. They want to fill the egos of all these fucking people that think they know what skillful play is. And they like dragged out scenarios, and they like fights that don't work. They like 1% games, this and that. Yeah, let's just continue on with this, dude. But like the challenge that Capcom presents is basically open lightsaber, then complete game with it on the easiest difficulty you can. But I'm sorry, dude. Your description doesn't make any fucking sense. Because then they would have specified that beat the game using only the LZ answer on easy difficulty. That point does not make any sense, dude. And that's why it gives you so many points. So, wait. Like, look back at that comment real quick, dude. Look back at that part of the comment. And that the challenge that Capcom presents is basically open lightsaber, then complete game with it on the easiest difficulty you can, and that's why it gives you so many points, because to do it you have to open the lightsaber, and it's a challenge of its own. Like, do you think that really makes any sense?
I don't even know what he just said.
Yeah, but I mean, that's his reasoning. He says like because of the requirements for actually unlocking the LZ answerer on Mercenaries mode, where you have to get SS rank on all the stages. That's not a valid reason to consider this game designed for Knives Out in mind. And again, you can't state the easiest difficulty because they would have actually stated it in their description, but they didn't. And even with the LZ answerer, the fights are so fucking stupid. And you want to glamorize that? Are you fucking kidding me, Tynard? Wow.
If you're acting like it's a challenge to use a good weapon.
The LC answer is not even a good weapon. The basic functionality involved with it, like the weapon gets turned off all the time. Like you lose the lightsaber a lot due to so many animations. Like when you switch weapons, or when you're in the middle of other animations, like ziplining, for instance. Like there's so many things that can turn off the LZ answer, and it's really frustrating. It's the most cumbersome weapon to deal with when it comes to a melee weapon. It's so shit. But let's continue on with this. But you keep ignoring that and asking why give so many points as if it's some sort of mystery. Like, look at that. Look, he's mocking me. He's mocking me by saying, like, oh, I don't understand why. And I'm acting like it's some sort of mystery. Yeah, well, you're the bigger mystery, Tynard, if you think that just because you go through that very annoying unlock process for getting a very shit weapon that deals a lot of damage, and yet it still doesn't make the game look any better. Like, that's a mystery all on its own, and why you even favor this kind of challenge in the first place, or these kind of stupid runs in general, Tynard, or all these other people that favor these stupid challenges, like Kill All runs, for instance, and I've talked ad nauseum about Kill All runs in my Resident Evil 6 videos. But like kill all runs in general, like why are like all you're doing is just standing around doing nothing, just twiddling your thumbs, just waiting for an enemy to show itself, even the most pointless of enemies, to affect the pacing of the game negatively, as if it's somehow like the most skillful thing to do. Like, Pikal, do you think kill all runs are skillful?
There's no point to doing it.
Yeah, there's no point. It's not like you're learning anything new about the game. You're learning things. You're probably learning about things.
Game where enemies respawn, like why?
Yeah, and you don't learn anything new from Kill All runs, and if you did, you could have easily learned all that from not doing the Kill All run in the first place. You're doing some other run.
You kill all runs, you're just killing the same enemy over and over again. Like, how is that like fun or interesting? How is that good design? You're just like you're just going up to an enemy and then killing it and being like, oh, I'm gonna go to the next one and kill it, and then it's just the exact same enemy you literally just killed 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, like a fucking 2-year-old could do that kind of shit and find enjoyment from it, and they would call it skillful. Yeah, but also, by the way, you saw that move just then where I took damage. That move, that's the most dangerous move that Lady Dimitrescu has, because there's no telling when she chooses to come back into the arena, and it can be very deceptive at times. So that's why I took damage, but whatever. It's not much damage, and I'm able to heal all that with the LZ Answerer with the green lightsaber crystal. Which I still question why they decided to model something after Star Wars. What was the whole point of that?
Money.
Money, exactly. That's the perfect explanation, because it's clear they favored the business model here. Yeah, but let's continue on with this comment that Tynard mentioned. It's not. Another point, what exactly would be a mechanism for milking the audience members with glamorizing knife-only challenge? Come on, man, it's not even funny. Like, games are usually 100% completed by like 3% people, according to Steam stat. According to Steam stat. Excuse me, if you're factoring only stuff from Steam, you're not factoring in stuff from console? And then furthermore, why are you saying that it's unjustified for me to say milking the audience members but by glamorizing knife-only challenge? Like, so many people feel the same way about this, but do you know how, like, Pickle, you're not going to understand this, but, like, knife-only was such a popular thing in the older Resident Evil games because so many people consider them to be very skillful. But, like, ironically, a lot of those older Resident Evil games were designed for knife-only because of how simplistically designed they were. So you didn't think anything of it, but then you come to games like Resident Evil 4 and onward, and the games are not designed for knife-only. It totally makes sense. Like, there's so much in Resident Evil Village that feels like they favored the business model with this game. Like, there's so much when it comes to overt references, like, just, like, meme-worthy references, or when it comes to, like awesome moments, or, like, with Lady Domitrescu. Like, you remember, like, you read the Lady Domitrescu, like, thirst comments before. Like, you saw how much people, like, loved Lady Domitrescu originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that
Everyone online was just like, step on me, mommy.
Yeah, like there's so much here in Resident Evil Village to favor the business model, and like even Carcinogen SCA agrees that this game favored the business model. And Tynard is acting like my comment on actually like on the developers posting that knife only challenge likely to attract more people to actually like fill their pockets with money. That's totally justified. I don't know what Tynard is talking about.
Most people just played this game because they were horny for the big-titted woman.
Or like other things like that. And then with the whole comment like games are usually 100% completed by 3% of people. Do you agree with that, Pikal?
If he's only looking at Steam, that's dumb because he's not including console, but like also I'm pretty sure the Steam thing he's talking about is like whether or not the person has all the achievements, and that has nothing to do with 100% completing the game.
Yeah, and like it's funny because when Tyner does his like 100% challenges, he's not doing it with like achievements in mind. He's doing it with other things in mind.
And like I've 100%ed every Assassin's Creed game except for like Valhalla at least once, and like none of the games give you achievements for 100%ing the game.
Yeah, and like 100% is such a fluid definition as well because there's so many different definitions around 100%. It's not even funny.
And it like depends on the game too.
Yeah, so his comment doesn't make any sense. And let's continue on with this. Knifing usually is for much lower percentage. How in the world do you think making a hardcore challenge will change anything about money they earn? I don't think you realize just how much the older Resident Evil games were glamorized for knife only, Tynard, and it's just clear. Like I don't know when you played those games, or like if you saw the advertising, if you saw the marketing, like even in the official Resident Evil 2 remake documentary video that they made for like the official development video for Resident Evil 2 remake, they talked a lot about like Resident Evil 2, like the original version being designed for knife only, and like they talked about Shinji Mikami trying to play that game knife only. So it's clear that they tried, like even Hideki Kamiya, the official director for the original version of Resident Evil 2, said that they designed the game, like they designed Resident Evil 2 with knife only in mind, which is delusional because there are parts of Resident Evil 2 that don't feel designed for knife only, and it means that they're acknowledging their simplistic boss designs. It means they're acknowledging certain exploits that you can do against the bosses. Like he's trying to make those exploits feel intentional, as if they programmed in those holes in the designs. Do you think that makes any sense, Pikal?
Fuck no.
Absolutely, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, nothing he's saying and nothing Capcom says anything about Village of Shadows or Resident Evil 8 makes any sense.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say there is absolutely no connection. You're just saying random stuff for no reason. Wow, saying random stuff for no reason. That's the kind of comment you'd hear from just any like random YouTuber on the planet who just happens to go onto your video and just says, "Oh, you're shit, this and that," or you're just saying random stuff without actually contemplating the very nature to the comments I'm saying.
This guy literally just sounds like a bot.
Yeah, he sounds like a bot, exactly. It's so stupid. And then like we go on to this. And one last thing, at least for now. Let's say there are games that are not designed at all for knife only and don't have trophies for that. Like, I don't know, Max Payne or Fear. Do you think that completing those games with melee weapons only is delusional? Of course it fucking is! You're affecting the fucking pacing! You're making the game look like it's 1% finished! And you still can't
Why is
contemplate all
even
this.
why is even bringing up other games? Where did this even come from?
I don't know, dude, but like,
No point.
this guy has no understanding of the baseline way to play certain games. I bet he goes to the Evil Within, for instance, and he does melee only. When the actual baseline restriction to actually play with the Evil Within, to actually respect the full potential and not be so like overly powerful in Evil Within, is Evil Within, no upgrades, no keys walkthrough at all. And I made that walkthrough perfectly. Like, the Evil Within is a masterpiece. It's more of a masterpiece in this game. And
This is the type of guy who would do a challenge run, but it would be like, I'm gonna play on the hardest difficulty, except I can't play the game with the controller.
or like, oh, I'm gonna play with my finger, like one hand tied behind my back, or I'm gonna play with my penis. I'm gonna play with
I'm
my
gonna play.
nose.
I'm gonna play the game, but I can't move with the left stick.
Oh my god, like it's such an and then he wants to find some kind of lesson from that. Like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me?
You're not learning anything.
And yet, and then in his mind, he feels he's learning something. He's learning something to contribute to more stupid runs. Nothing that feels optimized. Oh my god, so stupid. Really, really stupid. But we just done Lady Dimitrescu. Did that look fun to you, Pickle? Did that look absolutely fun?
That was like 13 minutes of nothing.
Just knifing her, just knifing the back of her legs. Yeah, that's a smart tactic. And like, I'm gonna pause this right here because we have like a minute left. But we're not gonna have a minute to discuss all this. But like, let's continue on with the comments he's mentioning. Game developers somehow tricked a person into doing that. And here I thought that it was an interesting thing to try, in spite of what it was. An interesting thing to try. Why? Why does he consider that interesting? I don't get that at all. And like, let's continue on with this. And maybe playing in spite is fun for me. Playing in spite is fun for me. Wow, that is such an oxymoronic definition. Like, that's such an oxymoronic statement to make. Playing in spite is fun for me. Like, actually suffering is fun for me. Like, what the fuck are you, a sadomasochist?
What did it even say?
What the fuck are you talking about? You, oh my god! Like, the mentality is a sadomasochist. You cannot trust a sadomasochist. You cannot reason with them. You can't find any like logical ground right there. Oh my god, that's such a sadomasochistic comment. Like, he's just doing it for a joke. What the hell is that? Is he even like? Is he even talking seriousness at this point with his comment? What is this?
I'm just seeing words. I'm not even like reading what he is saying. I'm just like staring at this fucking paragraph that he wrote.
Yeah, and continuing on further, he says, "I want to see how games work on ground level." Like, I understand that, but why do you make full runs out of that? Why do you make full runs out of that? Why do you make videos on that? Why do you try to like phrase the titles of your videos as if you wanted to do this restriction? Like, if you wanted to look at games on the ground level, you would not be making videos on this. You'd be making strategy videos. You'd be making like analysis videos, but not full runs.
I wouldn't play Xenoblade 2 without doing fusion combos. Like, if I did that, that would be breaking the whole point of the combat system and making it completely boring and like not fun to play.
Or like relating Xenoblade, like a great example of this that would actually fall in line with the whole idea of looking at games on a grounded level, and the title of the video reflects on this. Like, have you seen Xenoblade videos where they showcase like the moveset of bosses and they teach you how to dodge each individual one, like that?
Um, I haven't really seen that, but I've seen like videos that like showcase of like all the blade specials and like the best situations to use them in.
Yeah, but and like that learning games on a grounded level, like you don't make videos on that. You don't make full run. You don't glamorize a restriction. You don't glamorize a restriction like that. The guy in this comment is saying, "Oh, I just want to look at games on the grounded level." Yet he goes on to just make all these really stupid runs of Resident Evil 4. Like, even with Resident Evil Revelations, when he's doing like knife only on Dry Ignazo, or when he's doing like those knife only runs 100% on Resident Evil 4, and just making the game look like it's 1% finished, like a freaking alpha.
Like
And then he,
I've seen videos of like there's a guy online called Anel for Xenoblade 2 who like understands the combat. It's like made a lot of videos about it, and like he's shown videos of like a super boss in challenge mode called Cloud Sea King Ken, and like on Bringer of Chaos it has like 0.5 like million health or something, and he's shown multiple strategies on how to defeat that boss like so many times.
Yeah, or take my videos for instance. Like I've done
Yeah.
dodge videos. Like I've done dodge videos for some of the bosses and some of the enemies in Resident Evil Village, or like when I'm showcasing like the way the stuns work. Like when I'm showcasing the way the stuns work on the Berserk Soldat Eins or the Soldat Zwei, or when I'm showcasing the dodges on Aureus Drock, or on Moreau and all this kind of stuff. That's me like complimenting the statement of looking at games on the grounded level. But I'm not doing full runs like knife only or like pistol only or all these other stupid runs that just use those videos as reference. That's what he's doing. That like Tynard is doing the latter in that case. He's not doing analysis videos of all this. He's doing full on runs. That's so
I'm not gonna
contradictory to the very
play
nature of a statement.
I'm not gonna play like a 200-hour game like Xenoblade 2 without doing like the main combat system.
Yeah, or like don't engage in the combat at all and just do like analysis videos on the movesets of individuals. In the case of Xenoblade, you know?
Yeah.
But let's continue on with this comment. And maybe playing in spite is fun for me. I want to see how game works on grounded level and want to show it to other people. Want to show it to other people.
Okay, but who even cares though?
Well, you've seen the comments list of best gamer challenges and Tynard's comments. Apparently,
I'm
people
I'm
do
I'm
care.
I'm at the point where I'm convinced that they're bots.
Yeah, they seem like bots. But let's continue on with this. Who then can decide for themselves if it's fun or not. Oh, I'm sorry. Where in your video do you specify that part of if they can decide if it's fun or not? When you're going out of your way to respond to them, and you're favoring the extrema of emotions present with some of your comments, they favor the positive extrema of, oh, this is a really fun run, you should definitely do it. Or like stuff like that. And like, they're not such neutral comments at all. And
He's
like,
not spreading fun, he's spreading pain.
And like when I get people on my videos commenting on the whole idea of knife only, I approach them with a level of neutrality. I approach them from the level of, you sure you want to do this? I mean, you're gonna why would you do this run when it makes the game look like it's 1% finished? That's a level of neutrality. It's not meant to convey a positive or negative extrema. It's a middle ground right there. It's a gray area right there.
Like I remember when I first played Last of Us 1 on grounded difficulty, I literally used your guides that you made because like I didn't know how else to do it. I had to follow all your strategies.
Yeah, and then I showcase a lot of the bugs present with Pittsburgh, for instance, or like other things like that. That is actually like the run I did for The Last of Us was the game at its baseline level, yet still feeling like it's a fun game to play. It showcases the full potential of the game, even with restrictions. Like the whole point of a restricted run is to actually do a restricted run, but in a way that respects the core elements of the game, respects the core mentalities, respects the pacing. Like even with this restricted run, you are showcasing the full potential of the game, and you're removing all the superfluous aspects from the game, like with the upgrade system, or with like anything that feels like it's pay to win design. And I didn't get that with Resident Evil Village at all. Resident Evil Village feels like pay to win design with its highest difficulty and its shit, compared to Madhouse difficulty, where I'm only using like certain resources. I'm using what the game's providing me, like not all of them though, and I'm able to actually deliver a game that looks like it's a fully realized game. Like, do you understand what I'm saying, Bacall?
Yeah.
Makes so much sense. Like what, like in your case, Pickle, what do you think like the minimum amount of restrictions you can put upon yourself for Xenoblade is, while still preserving like the core tenet of what Xenoblade is?
Like I know you can't do no damage because every enemy always has like a 3% chance to hit you no matter what. So no damage is like completely impossible. There's someone in the Xenoblade 2 Discord that's trying to do like a low percent run of the game, which like have fun with doing that, but like I don't really get it. I guess like you're kind of like restricted by like the blades that you get from the gacha mechanic, because like the way that the game works is that like it has like 5 different categories that it puts you in when you make your save file, and it's like that like determines what blades you get. So like if you get a good slot, then you can get like good pity blades, and that like depends how well your run goes.
And that's kind of like the minimal like restriction you can put upon yourself while still maintaining the full
Yeah.
potential of the game.
Well, like you don't choose like what category you get put in for your blades, but like you just get put into a category when you make your file, and that's kind of what you kind of have to deal with what you get.
I see. Okay, so continuing on with Tynard's very, very odd comment. But apparently you're saying finding it fun is wrong and diluted. Yeah, it is. The mentality involved with actually like finding a completely like stupid restricted run that goes far below the baseline. It's like a drug addict seeking a fix. It's like you have to be like completely unemotional. Like you have to not feel anything to even have the gall to do this kind of run and just find this appealing. It goes to show what you are as a fucking person, dude. Like, if you're like that with your restricted run, I don't want to see what you're like in the real world. That's for sure.
Yeah, like there was a few months ago where like um so one of the worst blades in Xenoblade 2 is called Electra, and she has a shield hammer, which is like literally the worst weapon class in the game, and all of her skills are horrible. And I literally saw someone on Twitch that was doing a whole run of Xenoblade 2 just using Electra. I was like, what are you even doing, bro? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, did the game look stupid? Did the combat look like it was
No,
1%
it's
finished?
just like it like literally didn't do anything useful, cause cause like shield hammers don't have like good access to driver combos, so he couldn't do driver combos, and like Electra is an electric element, which is probably obvious. And electric does not have good blade combo synergy, so you can't do like good blade combos either. So like all your fusion combos are like horrible.
Hmm. Well, was he live streaming this to people?
I think he was streaming it, but he wasn't getting like a lot of viewers because he was like a new Twitch streamer.
Like, why, you know, like, I bet that's why a lot of people stream that kind of content, because, like, they drag the gameplay out, and it gives them time to talk with people. But in this case, like Tyner is not like Tyner is not even live streaming his gameplay. He's posting pre-recorded videos onto YouTube. He's not. No. He. Oh my God. He is premiering his videos because there's like a show chat replay. So he's premiering these videos to garner attention.
Yeah, but he's still not like streaming them live. He's still pre-recording them and then uploading them as a premiere.
That's still the same thing, though, isn't it?
Not really. If you're pre-recording the video, then it's still a pre-recorded video.
Yeah, but you're still talking live. You're still talking live with people in the chat.
I guess. I don't know. It's like kind of different.
Yeah, and you just seem to attract a lot more people if you broadcast rather than premiere, which is what I've noticed especially. But let's continue on with this comment here. But apparently you're saying that finding it fun is wrong and diluted. Kind of sounds like you're thinking too high of yourself. Do I sound like I'm thinking too high of myself, Pikal?
I think you just know what you're talking about, and most people don't.
Yeah, have you seen the let's look at some comments from Best Gamer Challenge. Like scroll down the comments list real quick. Let's just see what we have right here. On that skill, you should get more viewers. He's doing like the same thing I was doing with Bella, where I was sitting in the corner and just like mindlessly like slashing at the Moriekas, and then Bella was just standing there doing nothing. Is that skillful?
That's just running around in a corner.
Yeah, and then there's another guy who's like, dude, you are so pro. Pro at what? You're doing something that pretty much feels like I'm a freaking 2-year-old. I'm just spamming healing items like crazy.
You're doing something that literally anyone could do.
It's not even that like everyone can do it. It's just the way it's presented, like in the moment. It looks like it's just like you're a fucking 2-year-old. You're not doing anything right at all. You have such a fluid mind, as if you're a hypochondriac, wet, wacky, and wild. This and that. That's what's a fucking joke. And then Tynard wants to say I'm thinking too highly of myself. Like that's funny because in the earlier videos of Resident Evil Village, like during my blind playthrough and even during my walkthroughs, like in my very first walkthrough, like in the very first video I made, in the very first version of my Resident Evil Village walkthrough, someone commented saying like, why am I calling this one person I'm talking about an idiot? Like people have the right to think about this kind of thing. But I'm sorry guys, when it comes to objective, think about it like this, dude. You have a cut on your arm, right? You have a cut on your arm. That kind of person, like when I'm talking about them as an idiot, they're the kind of person that says, "Oh, there's no cut on your arm," even though the cut is visibly there on your fucking arm. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah, this is just stupid. I mean, you only appear smarter than everyone else because no one else is like doing these strats and like testing out these games like this. You only appear smarter because you're the only one that's actually doing it, and no one else is actually like following what you're doing.
Yeah, and then furthermore, like another person came in, and he was talking to the guy who left that comment, and he said that, oh, I'm on a power trip. I'm trying to not respect people who play on easier difficulties. That's not even for that reason. For that, I don't respect people on easier difficulties because I want them to challenge themselves. I don't respect people on easier difficulties because of how limited their mindset is. Because they don't see the game for what it is. They're not trying to see the developer's true mindset, and they're the ones who just popularize the game. They inflate new Capcom's ego and saying that what they did was properly correct, and they don't understand the subtle designs that go in place with the game because you're not seeing those designs on easier difficulties at all. That's the kind of wrong mindset that feels on par with what Tynar is saying about me, saying I'm thinking so highly of myself, this and that. Well, I'm sorry if I seem like a very different kind of gamer, but I'm not some mindless gamer. Like, I'm not some mindless gamer that you see stereotyped so much on television. I'm someone with a little bit of thought, someone with a scientific mindset, someone with a bit of comprehension, someone who has fucking self-awareness. Like, do you agree with me on those points, dude?
You're literally being a scientist at testing things out.
Yes, and
You're literally making a hypothesis and doing it.
that's how I am. I'm like the Gordon Ramsay of video game like critique right here. And this
Literally
game does so much
doing
wrong. It's not even
experiments.
funny. What was
No
that?
one else would even like have the thought to do runs like this.
Like any normal person would never have the thought to do this. But you have all these weirdos that want to do all these restricted runs to somehow give them a lot of attention, as if to make themselves stand out. I don't post these like when I'm doing like walkthroughs or when I'm doing like all these other videos that I'm doing right now. I don't do it for attention. I mean, this one right here, you could argue it's for attention, this and that. But I need to get my thoughts out on this so that someone who happens to stumble upon it can see this video and really understand my point of view. Let's continue on with this comment that he said. It kind of sounds like you're thinking too high of yourself, being capable to dictate to other people what different tastes, what to like or not, don't you think? And there's a smiley face comment right there. That's when he decided to be a smart aleck and a smug bastard when he decided to make that kind of comment. That very, very like mean comment, very rude comment. Thinking too highly of myself. This is a guy who has not watched my other videos for sure. He only looks at this one video and he automatically assumes he knows who I am. Isn't that how it comes across, Pickle?
Why does he have to do dumb emojis?
I don't know, but let's continue on with this.
It's just taking away from what he's actually saying.
Yeah, I know. And question still stands. What is exactly wrong with trying to complete any game with minimal resources spent? Answer that question for me, Bicol. What exactly is wrong with trying to complete any game with minimal resources spent?
Because it shows how bad the game is.
No, not that it shows how bad the game is. Like that's not a good answer. Like, give me another answer.
Because you're just restricting yourself with like nothing.
And you're not showing the full potential of the game.
Restricting yourself with like having barely any items just because you're trying to get clout. Like I'm not gonna play Xenoblade 2 and only do the game with like one accessory equipped or something. I'm gonna like use the best accessories pouch items I can.
Yeah, because that benefits the pacing of the game. It benefits the flow of the game, and it actually benefits creativity.
That's why when a lot of people play Xenoblade 2 for the first time, they say that the combat is bad and slow because they don't understand that pouch items and accessories are what you need to make the game work well.
Yeah, and like Tydar's mentality, it's like he's sucking the soul and creativity out of the games he plays when he does these kind of restrictions, and then he glamorizes them so much.
Like if you watch someone play Xenoblade 2 for the first time, you're never gonna see them use like our recharge pouch items because they don't understand that that's what they need to make the combat work.
Yeah, I know, and this is another thing as well. Like, like Tynar did his no damage Village of Shadows, like knife strat, but like, what do you bet he watches this video and he's like, and tries to say that what I'm doing, like the strats that I'm doing, are all wrong, and he tries to use his knives out no damage video as a reference. Like, why does he even try to waste time telling me this? Like the gullible player he is, and it's clear he skewed the line between the realm of well-designed and practical and the realm of lazy, impractical, pig-headed, unfulfilling, boring, teeth-grinding, ludicrous designs. But the fact that he even goes out of his way to make such runs a standard, and his ego is constantly inflated by his low-standard audience. Like, this guy has no sense of dignity and integrity, and it's clear he doesn't truly love his games. Like, when you see like the kind of runs that Best Gamer Challenge does, or when like or what Tynar is doing, do you think it shows that they love the game?
That's literally how I felt when I played Odyssey for the first time casually. Like I wasn't even doing a challenge run. I was just playing it casually because I was playing it for the first time. I just felt painful, like physically painful, because the combat is just button mashing shit, and my fingers were hurting. But like also mentally painful because it was just like boring a whole lot of nothing, and all the enemies were damage punches, and you could literally see the code that held the game together.
Yeah, but that's not really the example I wanted you to hear. But like, you love Xenoblade 2, right? If you find yourself doing like a minimalist restriction run of Xenoblade 2 that feels so fucking impractical and in the realm of stupidity, if you find yourself in that position, do you truly love the game?
No,
Yeah, you're just
I'm
taking the
not.
game for granted.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna go play Xenoblade 2 and play it without art recharge items. I'm not gonna do that because I know how the game works now.
Yeah, and you favor that minimalist restriction. You're just showing you don't love the game overall. You're taking the game for granted. You're not respecting the game's value. Like you just see it as like a mindless sexual encounter to pacify 13-year-olds. Like on that level, it's just a mindless sexual encounter
There's
to pacify
there's
13-year-olds.
there's no reason for me to play Xenoblade 2 if I'm not gonna be using the best items in the game.
Yeah, and you want to favor the creative elements of Xenoblade 2, right?
Yeah, I wanna like get rewarded with experimentation because that's what the game does.
And you want encounters to not feel so dragged out. You want encounters to feel properly paced, right?
Yeah, I actually want to do like good fusion combos and like actually know what I'm doing. I don't want to just like mash buttons and do like the same attack over and over again. Like the way that Xenoblade combat works is that you have auto attacks which they just like auto attack the enemy, like, and then you have like arts and specials. I'm not gonna play the entire game just doing auto attacks. I'm gonna use my arts and specials to also do things that will actually help the combat move along faster.
Tynard would hear that statement and would say, "Oh, you like speedrunning then?"
Well, I do like speedrunning, but that's not the point.
Yeah, that statement you made just then was not about speedrunning, but Tynard would say otherwise. He would say that's related to speedrunning.
Even when I speedrun Xenoblade 2, I'm not gonna just do it with auto attacks only.
Yeah, and like I play Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is a game that can go by very quickly, but it's not due to a speed run. It's just it does a great job at making you realize that you're not doing a speed run. It's
If
just
I play Xenoblade 2 with just auto attacks, it's not gonna be a speedrun because it's gonna be slow as fuck.
or when you're playing with all the skills that just make Xenoblade 2 a great game. Does that make it a speed run?
No, if I'm playing the game and I'm using Cosmos on Zeke, that's not a speedrun. That's just a good strat.
So like I don't know the mentality of this guy, but and it's just new Capcom decided to favor these kind of individuals when targeting them with this stupid knives out challenges that they don't know how to comprehend their own designs. People like Tynard, they're downplaying why I am so heavily critical of this challenge. Like everything I've just described is why I'm so heavily critical about the knives out challenge in this game.
Like, if I play Xenoblade 2, there's no reason for me to use bad blades like Godfrey and Electra when I can use good blades like Cosmos and Poppy Cutie Pie.
Yeah, like it's and like let me just continue on with this comment I'm going to make towards like this guy like freaking Tynar doesn't have any sense of dignity and integrity, and it's clear he doesn't truly love his games and sees them on the same level as mindless sexual encounters to pacify 13-year-olds without any real substance to them. At least this is something I can respect with Ether. Like Ether, like a guy that I really talk about a lot. He at least has integrity and dignity, and he doesn't try to favor really stupid restrictions with his games. I mean, he has done occasionally with like Resident Evil 3 remake and with like Infernal difficulty knife only, but like I gave him a very stern warning in my most recent like it was meant to be very friendly, but it was still very stern at the same time. But I told him that if I ever see him in that position where he's favoring stupid runs on like the level that Tynard is explaining, I'll unsubscribe from his channel. And like and then he told me like in the premiere when I was showing that moment that he was only doing that to be intrigued. It's not that he finds any enjoyment out of it, which I thought was really cool. You know, like he has dignity, like he still has that level of dignity and integrity that is great. But and I'm so glad he doesn't favor those kind of restricted runs, like those kind of stupid restricted runs that aren't even restricted runs at that point. You can't even call them runs. You can't even call them runs. They're just mindless slogfest. That's
You're
what they
just
are.
playing the game badly just because you want attention.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. And with regards to the kind of ludicrous comments that Tynard makes, like to quote Seraphim17, a guy that I no longer watch, but he has some very memorable quotes. Like to quote Seraphim17, this like when if he was gonna like hear this kind of stuff from Tynard and he would just respond to him, he would say like this guy would sell sand to Arabs. That's how high he is with his replies. This guy's priorities with the kind of runs he famers are almost on par with liking things that are amethyst and dog shit rather than actually appreciating a fantastic color palette. Like, if he thinks the kind of stupid runs he does are anything worthy of attention, I'd hate to see what he'd be like in real life. He either has adrenaline on the brain or he's a drug addict seeking a fix if he doesn't have the self-awareness necessary to comprehend when his enjoyment of the game is starting to lose all value. And I know it seems like right now that I seem to be like putting myself above him, that I seem to be on a power trip, but hey, he decided to attack me. I'm going to believe in an eye for an eye in this case. If he's going to attack me with the kind of harsh comments and downright rude comments that he has, I'm justified in this. It's a fucking joke. It's a real fucking
He's
joke.
gonna do dumb runs. He deserves to get called out.
Yeah, but let's continue on with this comment. Like, we're almost there at the end of his comment. That's how long his comment is. Question still stands. What exactly is wrong with people with trying to complete any game with minimal resources spent to see where you can possibly get stuck and from which situations there's actually a way out no matter what? I'm sorry, dude, but you don't have to do a stupid restricted run to be put into a position where you can get stuck. And if you have to do a restricted run to get into positions where you can be stuck, then that's the fault of the restriction, not because of the fight. I mean, yes, there are situations with Moreau, for instance, on this game where you can do attacks that just allow him to break the rules of the game, and it's like there's no possible way to avoid it because the developers didn't comprehend all the possible scenarios where Moreau would be doing all these moves that are impossible to avoid. But you don't have to do a restricted run to figure out how to bypass that. You end up figuring these out through some happy accident or by actually taking the time to just stop yourself and just look at the boss carefully.
If you're playing a game just to get stuck in the game, then what's even the point of playing the game?
Yeah, and then he says, "How is that delusional or something that an ape could do?" It's absolutely not. Some tricks require smart tactics. Smart tactics. Smart tactics.
Smart tactics, like it's like standing at a wall for 20 minutes, banging a fucking knife into some guy's knee, pushing buttons.
Wow. Just wow. That smart tactics section. Smart like let me
How about
just
some
like
smart tactics, like combining fusion combos and like actually doing evasion arts when you need to do evasion arts, and actually like playing a good game for once?
or and then he considers what I did for like Dummy Teres, where I was just sitting behind her leg, just repeatedly knifing her for 13 minutes. A smart tactic. I don't use such a method. I don't use such a method at all when I'm doing Lady Dummy Teres normally, because I actually use all my weapons. I actually aim for a weak spot. I actually understand their moveset. That's the smart tactic, dude.
If the game requires you to cheese a boss by fucking cheating at it, that's not good design.
Or if the game requires you to cheese it and you have to spam healing items like crazy, or you have to do these other like really like cumbersome processes that feel befitting for a 2-year-old.
If you have
Ugh.
to cheese something out, that's not good.
That's not a smart tactic. That should be a meme, dude. That should honestly be a meme with a smart tactic. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard from him by
Besides,
far.
like, he's trying to like bring down a brick wall with glue.
Yeah, or he's trying to shove a square through a circle. Yeah, as if that's somehow smart. Just like any other okay, and continuing on, just like any other challenge, and seeing those as something worse for no good reason, of course, no good reason. Wow, as if he like no good reason, like he actually watched my other videos and just found there was no good reason for me to say the things I said. No, he didn't watch my videos. For no good reason goes against any reasonable critique. It's just throwing insults at this point. Which you watched my first video, Pickle. Did it sound like I was throwing insults?
You were literally just explaining how the game works.
It's and thank God that's the end of the comment because I blocked him. I blocked Tynar completely when he decided to leave this rude comment, and I was almost half tempted to leave him unblocked just so he would respond later on. But then I realized why make him look more like an idiot. Yeah, but let's end this madness. Let's end the madness of this part so we can continue the madness in the later parts. But we're just going to continue on right here. There's just I'm picking up all this loot just to sell at the merchant because I need a lot of money to spend on healing items because the game just wants me to mindlessly heal like crazy for this restriction. And here's something I wanted to ask you, Pakal. So on Village of Shadows difficulty, they add 2 additional enemy types. So let me show you. They put they put that bow and arrow guy on the left and that armored Lycan on the right. Yet what should I do? What should I do? I just run right past them. They're busy roaring. Does that seem like a good enemy placement for a higher difficulty?
There's not even a point to putting enemies there then.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. There's so many
So in
scenarios like
Xenoblade
this.
2, you can just run past enemies if you want to, but like they actually put them in spots where like you would actually like need to fight them if you needed to fight them.
Or you had to actually use strategic dodging or the like. But like, there's so many scenarios in Resident Evil Village where they put in enemies for the sake of placing them there. When the combat is so shit as it is on Village of Shadows difficulty, you're just gonna be forced to run right past them. So why do you set up this illusion of a combat scenario if you're gonna be forcing the player to run just simply based on the way the mechanics work of the game? Just answer that question for me, Mikal. What's the reasoning behind that?
There's no reason.
It's
For
seriously
what
just
reason? For no reason.
yeah, it's seriously just fucking dense. But like, there's a guy on the left. There's 2 enemies right above me, and then they just put in these 2 enemies right over here on Village of Shadows difficulty, and it serves absolutely no fucking purpose. Negligible enemy placement. Negligible.
It would be better if they prevented you from opening the door until you killed the enemies.
No, that wouldn't be good too, because then I'd have to suffer through poor designs with these enemies, because the Lycans are so poorly designed in this game. They're so broken. I'm so glad they just let you do that. But they should have just presented it a lot better, just not put in any enemies whatsoever. Because I already did that on my blind playthrough. I did that on my blind playthrough of hardcore difficulty, which you have to beat in order to unlock Village of Shadows difficulty. And I did the exact same thing of running right past them, and they just stopped coming. And I did the same thing for the later encounters. No difference between hardcore and Village of Shadows difficulty. When your enemy placements are that negligible that they don't force you to change up your strategy between hardcore and Village of Shadows difficulty, what does that say, Bacall?
They didn't even bother doing anything. They didn't change the code.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke. That's what it is. It is such a fucking joke. But this is the end of this part of this, whatever it is, this shitting on new Capcom and other fools video series. Thank you so much, Bacall, for participating in this madness, but there's going to be a lot more madness to come.
I talked about Xenoblade.
Yeah, and Xenoblade was definitely a really good reference here. I'm still going to continue the shitting. Like, there's so many other parts to Resident Evil Village that this madness needs to continue. Oh my god, the shitting never ends. And it's not because of pleasure. This is because of objective flaws with the game. This is because of objective flaws in the mindsets of all of these people that just try to glamorize stupid runs, and this developer is trying to target those people with this kind of stupid Knives Out challenge. I'm sure you can agree with me on this, Pikal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll just conclude the commentary right here. Give your remarks, Pikal, to end this.
Sometimes people are stupid.
That is definitely true. But thank you all for watching, and you take care now.